Before going for any assignment of a foreign company, you need to first make a checklist of who will be the directors of the company, whether it will be an Indian, whether it will be a foreign. The next is you have to check who will be the shareholders and then the shareholding pattern, because this will help you to understand ki, okay, whether my company goes into a joint venture or whether I go for a wholly owned subsidiary. Then third is you need to check the business of the company. This is a very important part, because if the business of your foreign company, if it comes under automatic route means you don't need to go ahead, you don't need to take anyone's permission to open your company. You can just go ahead, file your application for formation, and then you can just go ahead. But if your company comes under the government route, then what? You need to apply for a permission from the FIPB. FIPB is the Foreign Investment Promotion Board, where you submit all your documents and then you ask the permission key, okay, can we set up a company in India? If it takes normally 6 months to get a permission from FIPB, but I hope so RBI comes with a new rule and easier compliances. Then the next fourth is how much capital you will be requiring to bear your expenses. Because see, when you set up a company, it's not that in the first month only you will start earning profits. You have to pay some expenses like your employee salaries, your rent, your telephone bill, your stationery bill. There are so many miscellaneous expenses you have to bear. So your capital should be structured in such a way that you cover your expenses for at least 6 to 12 months. Fifth is you have to decide on the name of your company, because when you apply for a name application with the government of India, it's you have to see whether you use the word industry or you use the word India or Bharat, because for using these words there are some rules that your capital should be at so and so amount, for so and so amount, your authorized capital, your paid up capital. I'm not going into detail about this authorized capital concept and paid up capital, but it's a deep terms you have to get to understand. Then sixth is once you confirm ki, okay, my name is so and so, where you will be locating your company. Because in India, because now setting up companies, so I see mostly the service companies they are set up in Bombay, because Bombay has a limited space. So there are no factories, but I have seen there are many service companies who come to Bombay. Then there are many automobile and technology companies who are set up in Pune, because Pune is a hub for automobiles. Then next is now the new location I have come through is Gurgaon and Noida because of the SEZ. Then Hyderabad is the fourth option, which normally company would like to set up their companies. And fifth is Bangalore. Delhi, compared to Bombay, they have less companies in Delhi. Then seven point is you have to decide how many employees you would be appointing after you are set up, because there are some rules. Because if you appoint more than 10 employees for your company, you have to have some extra registration for your company, like a PF, like a gratuity. So this depends upon how many employees you need to appoint. Then eighth is who will be your customers, who will be your target customers. Now, a foreign company cannot directly do a B2C, that is business to the consumer. You cannot sell directly to the consumer, a retail consumer. You have to sell your products and give your services only to a wholesaler. You can carry on cash and trade business. Now, what is wholesaler? That any company who has all the registrations with them, like a VAT, CST, import export code, service tag. So only to these companies you can sell your products and services, but not to the final consumer. This is strictly restricted. Now, I have just given you what will be the you have to what are the pre-requirements of the setup. Now I will go through what are the mandatory requirements for forming of a private limited company of a foreign holding company. Now, first is you have to have minimum two directors. Now, out of these two directors, your two directors can be foreign individuals or Indian nationals. Now, out of these two directors, you need to have one Indian resident. Now, Indian resident means what? He need not to be actually an Indian citizen, but you have to check that his minimum stay in India in a previous financial year should be more than 182 days. Now, what do you mean by previous financial year? See, now we are in Jan 2017. So, if I decided to start a company in Jan 2017, I need to check that my director have stayed in India in 2015-16 for at least 182 days. So, this is called as a previous financial year. So, this is the most important compliance that has to be compulsory followed. But normally what I suggest is you always have three directors. Three directors, why? Because you need to meet the requirement of a quorum of a board meeting. Because sometimes what happens now, your Indian director and foreign director may not be at the same place. Now the video conferencing facility has been started, but still at least for one board meeting out of the 4 board meetings in a year, you have to be physically present. 3 board meetings you can go through video conferencing, but for one board meeting you have to be physically present. That is compulsory. And the second requirement is you should have minimum 2 shareholders. Now your shareholders can be one company, one individual, like a combination of one company, one individual, or 2 individuals, or 2 companies. So you decide that who will be your shareholders, then how will be your shareholding pattern. And third is your registered office address. Now earlier ROC, we just used to mention ki, okay, this will be my registered office address. But now there are so many companies who are using a fake registered office address. And recently in the economic, there have been an article like 75 companies were using one registered office address. And they were all doing a fake business, all illegal business. So you need to have a registered office address where you have to have a compulsory notarized a leave and license agreement or a lease agreement, conveyance agreement, where and with along with that you need to have rent receipts, electricity bill, gas or water bill. You need to submit all these documents with the ROC within 15 days of your incorporation. So what ROC gives you, give you a time frame of 15 days. Ki, okay, your incorporation is done today. Now within the next 15 days, file these documents with me. Compulsory. So even if you go beyond 50 days, doesn't matter. You can just pay an additional fees and you can go file your agreement. But your agreement date should be always within 15 days of the incorporation. You cannot, it cannot be like, so today is 14th of January. I can sign an agreement up to 29th of Jan, but not after that date. So ROC gives you 15 days of time frame. Now, the fourth is a paid up capital. Now, earlier there was a requirement of that a private limited company should be formed by having at least minimum 1 lakh as a paid up capital. So this was as per the Companies Act 1956. But now with the new amendment in the Companies Act 2013, there is no such requirement of paid up capital. You can just start a private limited company even with 2 rupees because both of the shareholders need to have at least 1 rupee. But 2 rupees is not sufficient for to cover your expenses, right? Because initially you would be opening a bank account, you would be renting a place, you would be signing your lease agreement, you have to pay stamp duty. So everything for this you need to have some capital in your bank account. So these are the 4 important requirements you have to check. Now next we come with the procedure of incorporation. Now how you can incorporate a foreign subsidiary. Now, I just want to give you a very practical, important tip is whenever any foreign document is you are required to be submitted in India, any signed foreign document or any unsigned foreign document, if you are required to submit in India, it has to be compulsory notarized from a notary public from that foreign country. It has to be legalized from an Indian embassy. Legalized from an Indian embassy means you get a stamp of Indian embassy on that document. So first is you go to a notary public, get your documents notarized. Then you go to a high court where like the local high court where they confirm okay, this notary exists in this country. And once these two stamps are on your documents, you have to go to the Indian embassy, where your Indian
The
embassy, huh,
notary you were talking about is in the parent company, like
parent
the
company,
foreign
home country,
home.
foreign country.
Yeah.
Because whenever any foreign document is submitted in India, this is a compulsory requirement:
Mhm.
notarization, confirmation, and legalization from the Indian embassy. Now, what happens now? There are some companies which are a part of Hague Convention. Now, Hague Convention is a convention where some 26 countries. Now, I'm not sure about the new number, because these countries, what they decide is, instead of going with the notarization process, legalization process, what you can do is you can just apostille your document. It's same like you just go to the Indian embassy and tell them, I want to apostille my documents. So you have to check whether your foreign country is a part of Hague Convention. If it is not, then you have to go through notarization from the local court, and then attest it from the Indian embassy. Every foreign documents needs to go through this, and you can submit it like just by closing your eyes to any department, and your documents will be approved and accepted. Because our government bankers are very strict on signing of the foreign documents, just to avoid money laundering or any illegal activities. Now, every company, whether private or a public limited company, is registered on the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So, Ministry of Corporate Affairs is the website where you have to upload all your documents for company formation, or your opening of a license office, or your change in directors, change of your registered office address. Every change in a company has to be uploaded on the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Now, for any queries, complaints regarding the formation or name approval, what you need to do is you have to contact the CPC unit. It is a central processing unit, which is a new unit situated in Manesar, Gurgaon. Because earlier, as per 1956 Companies Act, now if you are setting up a company in Mumbai, so you have to go to the Maharashtra ROC. But now what they have done is they have centralized the incorporation process, and you have to just contact the CPC unit. You are not allowed to meet anyone. So you can just contact them on the phone. You can raise a complaint on the Ministry of Corporate Affairs website. You have to raise a ticket and mention your queries. So automatically they look through it, and within 48 hours you get a reply. So this is very a good initiative by the government also, because earlier there were so many bribes accepted by the ROC at particular states, but now with this centralized process, it's very easy, and there is, you don't have to pay anyone any amount.